And of course, I'm starting with the biggest match on the show, LA Knight versus... I can't even say that with a straight face right now. I can't finish that sentence with a straight face. Of course, I'm going to talk about the Bloodline. It felt like the perfect time for Seth and Roman to actually come together, but I don't know. Maybe this isn't the right time, maybe it is the right time, but the only thing that I can say is that considering how the events have come about, I'm I'm grateful that Seth actually stood his ground and he didn't get persuaded or manipulated or goaded into teaming with Roman just for the sake of the greater good, which is what happens to 90% of the baby faces that we have in wrestling. I guess that's the only silver lining here. For those of you who stuck with my rant and are kind of confused as to what's going on, we have a WarGames match at Survivor Series this year, and it is the original Bloodline, Roman Reigns, the Usos, the honorary Us, Sami Zayn, and CM Punk. Yay! Yay, CM Punk. Okay. And of course, the wise man is back, Paul Heyman, and they're taking on the new Bloodline, which is Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, Tongaloa, Jacob Fatu, who is incredible in the ring, by the way, and a new addition to Solo's Bloodline, Bronson Reed. I will admit that I am not the happiest person that CM Punk is in this match. I do believe that if you're bringing someone in who is not really necessarily tied to the storyline, they should at least be tied to the family. We know that Lance Anuai signed with WWE. We know that Zilla Fatu signed with WWE. Actually, I don't know if that was confirmed, but we know that they are both somewhere in the mix. So why not bring in someone who is still family if you can't bring in someone who is directly tied to the storyline, like a Cody Rhodes or a Seth Rollins? So the only reason this makes sense is because of Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman is also the only reason why a Brock Lesnar return would have made sense. I know that Heyman and Punk had that really nice promo segment where Heyman wanted to follow Punk. He wanted Punk to take him with him. That is probably the only tie to the storyline that CM Punk has. So I think if the storyline were to have a huge blowout, it should be family versus family. And yes, Bronson Reed is not family, and the Tongans are technically not blood family, but family through a blood oath, which is kind of similar to The Rock. But I just it feels like Punk is an unnecessary piece to this puzzle. Aside from the Paul Heyman ties, it doesn't feel like CM Punk should necessarily be in this match. This WarGames match could end up in 3 different ways. Scenario 1 is that the wise man actually came through and Punk is a good ally for the original Bloodline. It's a bit far-fetched, I know, but because they possibly want a really nice feel-good moment at the end of WarGames, it could be that Punk actually helps Roman win this match. Second scenario is exactly that. They win the match, but then Punk and Heyman betray Roman after the match, and Heyman actually leaves with Punk, which apparently is what happened on Friday. Apparently, Heyman did leave with Punk, and he didn't actually wait for Roman. That is another option, is that for the greater good, Punk helps them win the match, but he also takes the wise man with him. The third option is the most interesting one for me because a part of me actually wants this to happen. The third option is that Punk and Heyman have been pulling the strings all along, and Punk actually helps the new bloodline win because he's part of the new bloodline. I know that this makes it far worse because I just said this whole thing about, yeah, it needs to be within the family. But if we find out that Punk has actually been the one controlling Solo, or for some dumb reason in Punk's mind, instead of controlling Solo, he actually acknowledges Solo, who knows? But I think that would be an interesting element to it, is that Heyman has actually been trying to help Solo all along, even though he took a shield bomb from Solo and the Tongans. I still think that there is a chance that Heyman could be helping Solo, and everyone has now betrayed Roman. Is there a chance that Heyman and Punk are working with the new bloodline? I think there's every possibility. And and that means that they will still need more members, which means that we can get Zilla Fatu coming in, we can get Lance and Y coming in, we could even see a Shield reunion if Roman needs the numbers. A part of me actually wants that to happen. A part of me wants Punk to turn heel so that Seth can go, oh, I hate this man. And the thing is that it would tie into everything that Seth said when Punk first came back, which is that Punk kind of just causes chaos wherever he goes and he wreaks havoc in whatever company he's in. This would be wreaking havoc if we found out that he was working with Solo Sikoa and the new bloodline. So it reinforces everything that Seth says. It causes Roman and Seth to work together, which is what I want. Part of me wants scenario 3 to happen, but I doubt that that is why Solo and the new bloodline would win. In terms of making a prediction for this match, I think for the sake of finally giving Roman a win, because I think Roman really needs a win here. My prediction for this match is that Roman Reigns and the original bloodline and CM Punk defeats Solo Sikoa and the new bloodline. Okay, am I making the right decision? I don't know, but let's just see what happens, I guess. World Heavyweight Champion Gunther defends his title against Damian Priest, and I feel like this rematch is just so freaking unnecessary. I genuinely feel like this is unnecessary. I don't think we needed to have Damian Priest versus Gunther again. We easily could have had Dominic Mysterio face Gunther, and this would cause more tension between Dominic and Finn, which means that we're one step closer to the new Judgment Day breaking up as well. That would have been really great. We could have also seen Gunther versus Seth Rollins, which would have been a 5-star match no matter what promotion, no matter where in the world they were. That would have been a 5-star match. Bronson Reed, if he wasn't tied to the bloodline stuff, Bronson Reed versus Gunther would have probably been awesome. I don't see why Damian Priest was picked for this match. Yes, Damian is an incredible talent. I'll never ever say that he's not. Damian Priest is absolutely incredible on the mic, in the ring, but it just feels like they have no one else built up to face Gunther, which is really sad for me. I mean, oh, I'd love a Drew McIntyre return right now. I'd really love a Drew McIntyre return. But it just feels like they have no one to face Gunther, so they were like, we need a title match on the show. And then they inserted Damian Priest because he is the safest option for a good match. But in terms of storyline, I don't think anyone cares. Like, personally, I didn't want this rematch. I don't know about you guys. Let me know in the comments below if you wanted to see Gunther versus Damian Priest again. But personally, I didn't want this match. So I don't know why we got it. I genuinely don't know. Gunther needs to win this match. I don't see Damian Priest actually winning. My pick for this match is Gunther. The United States title match between LA Knight and Shinsuke Nakamura. Can I say that I'm so freaking happy that Shinsuke Nakamura is back? I'm so happy to see Shinsuke Nakamura again. LA Knight has had a very meh title reign so far. He deserves so much better than whatever the hell he's doing right now. I do want to see Carmelo Hayes with that title eventually, but I love LA Knight with a title. I don't think they've been treating the title reign properly. And Shinsuke Nakamura can definitely elevate LA Knight and elevate the title. So he's a really good pick as a number one contender for the US title. But a part of me feels like Shinsuke actually needs a title right now. Firstly, because it's his return, he needs a win. Secondly, I feel like he needs a title. I'm very torn because LA Knight deserves better, but I also really, really want Shinsuke to have a title again because Shinsuke Nakamura is one of those talents that just has always deserved more. I'm actually just going to go with it. Shinsuke Nakamura to win the US title. Speaking of championships and particularly mid-card championships, let me know down in the comments below who you think should win the Women's US and Intercontinental Championships. For the US title, I'm actually thinking Bayley or Chelsea Green. I really, 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 really want Chelsea Green to win that title. And for the Intercontinental Championship, I'm not actually sure. It could go to Lyra Valkyria. I think Lyra's a pretty good shout. They could also give it to Zelina Vega, which would be really cool for her. She hasn't won anything since she won Queen of the Ring. Bron Breakker, your Intercontinental Champion, defends his title against Ludwig Kaiser and Sheamus in a triple threat match. I love the idea of Bron Breakker in a triple threat match because he has the opportunity to just wreck everyone. I really, really love Bron Breakker as just this monster tweener. Again, I'm really torn because Bron Breakker deserves a really, really, really good title run, and the Intercontinental title was pretty much perfect for him to hold. And I mean, having a mid-card title on Bron Breakker right now is probably the best decision to elevate both him and the title. But the Intercontinental title is the only title that Sheamus needs. It's literally the only title that he needs to be a Grand Slam champion, so why not give that title to Sheamus? Like, let him retire as a Grand Slam champion. I've been saying the same thing about John Cena. I actually really want Sheamus to win the IC title within the next year, just so that we can have him as a Grand Slam. And I also really love the idea of Ludwig Kaiser and Gunther both holding titles at the same time. So if we had Gunther with the World Heavyweight Championship and then following right behind him, Ludwig Kaiser with the Intercontinental Championship, that would be a phenomenal picture. Like, I think that shot would be incredible. So I also actually want that to happen. But I also think I need to go for the obvious choice here, which means that my pick for this match is Bron Breakker to retain the Intercontinental Championship. And finally, the most forced, the most unnecessary match on this entire card, the Women's WarGames match. And I'm actually going to read the names here because I actually forgot who's in this match. So we have Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Bayley, Naomi, and Io Sky taking on Liv Morgan, Nia Jax, Raquel Rodriguez, Tiffany Stratton, and Candice LeRae. The most unnecessary match on this card. I will say I do like the idea of including Io in every single WarGames match because we know that every single year she's just going to try and top herself with how she can jump off the cage. And the one thing I don't really like is how mishmash everything is. Io is the number one contender to Liv Morgan and the women's world title. That makes sense. If we move on with the WarGames format, I do think that we should start alternating it. So one year the men's will have the WarGames match, and then the women will have a traditional 5-on-5 Survivor Series elimination match. And then you can swap it. So the following year, the men will have the 5-on-5 traditional match, and the women will have a WarGames match. Or you just give the WarGames match to whichever feud is the hottest. This doesn't need WarGames. They don't even have to have a fight. Like, why? I don't understand why they are even fighting. Also, shout out to Jade Cargill. I hope she has a speedy and really healthy recovery because it sounds like a big injury, to be honest. So they did say that there was something wrong with her neck, and neck injuries are always really serious. So wishing all the best to Jade Cargill. I don't understand why we're having this match. I really just don't understand. So it genuinely feels like we're having a WarGames match for the sake of saying we had a women's WarGames match this year. I think Nia Jax is going to be frigging unstoppable in that match. I think Rhea Ripley in her return needs a win. So if the men's WarGames match ends with Roman pinning Solo, like I think it should, then it means that the heels should probably win the women's match. Because originally I was actually going to go with Rhea and the faces winning this match just for the sake of Rhea getting a good win. But now I'm thinking if the men's match ends with Roman winning, we can't have two feel-good babyface moments. So maybe Liv Morgan, Nia Jax, and their team win. Nia could actually win. They've also been teasing that whole the faces can't coexist thing. So I'm gonna go with Team Rhea and the faces winning the women's WarGames match. Just because then at the Royal Rumble we can get Liv versus Rhea. Okay, thank you so much to you guys for sticking around and listening to me ramble on about predictions and wrestling. I really do appreciate all of you guys being here. Let me know down in the comments below your predictions for Survivor Series War Games. Let me know how you feel about the show. If you think the matches should actually even happen, because some of these matches are really just thrown together. Please like this video if you haven't already, and if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. All of that good YouTube stuff, please just do it. It really does genuinely help me out. But enjoy Survivor Series, and I will see you next time. As always, be mindful and be kind.